This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
Welcome to another episode of Tough Talk. I'm your host, Lucas Biggers. Alongside me is going to be Sakura A. I'm sure Rob will come on at some point. And, of course, we got Lamont Sullivan also from Four Champs Promotions. And I believe you have an announcement to make there, Lamont.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. First off, I want to say it's a long time coming, and we've been working on this kind of behind the scenes for a minute, and it finally came together for us. But as of June the 4th, a couple weeks ago, we wanted to make sure everything was ready before we made the formal announcement. What we just signed, 16-0, undefeated 168, just killer prospect, Isaiah Z-Wop Steen. And he's on the line with us, and he's got a tremendous future ahead of him. 6'2", all the numbers are there. 6'2", 168, always makes weight. Hell of a camp and team around him, and Ota Jones, just surrounded with all the right people. And we're super excited to get him. And that's what I got right now. We're looking forward to some big things. We're gonna get a fight to get busy here in a second, and then after that, we're gonna start making our way up the ladder to do big things.
Good to hear. Welcome to the show, Isaiah Steen. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate being on the show.
Glad to hear you sign with Four Champs. I know you're in good hands there.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
I want to get to know you a little bit better as a fighter. Let's go over how did you get into boxing?
My stepdad, Charles Conwell, he had put me in boxing in St. Louis when I was 6, 7. And then I had stopped the lift weights, like they go to lift for life. And then once we got back in Cleveland, I had tried it again with my little brother, Charles Conwell. And after that, I just fell in love with it, came to Soul City, and took off.
All right. Growing up, did you have any inspirational fighters? Anybody you were looking up to?
Yes, Pernell Whitaker.
Pernell, okay. So would you describe your style as defensive? How would you describe your fighting style?
Yeah, I'm more like a defensive counter puncher. No. But at first I was just a boxer, keeping my distance, and then going straight to the body.
Okay. I did notice in some of your other fights, it seems like you definitely fight behind your jab a lot. Would you say that's your punch of choice?
Yeah.
Stay on that jab?
Of course.
From what I've seen, you fight really well behind it.
The jabs keep me out of trouble, so I keep it out there, and at the end of the results, I'm a winner. Using the basic combination when fights.
That's right. What kind of personal goals do you have set? I know a lot of goals. Of course, you know, you build some of them have small goals. Some people have, man, I'm just going to be a world champion. But what's the next step for you, Isaiah? What would you like to see happen in your boxing career?
Just making a name for myself. There's a lot of kids I work with that look up to me, and I just want to set a positive example for them and be the world champion and put on for my city, for my family. And that's it.
Okay. So you're still fighting out of Cleveland?
Yes, I live in Cleveland, but I come to Toledo to train. I'm training camp at Soul City in Toledo, Ohio.
Okay. I'm going to pass you over to another writer we have here. Call her the First Lady, Sakura A, whenever you're ready.
You're so sweet. Isaiah, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good, and you?
Awesome. I was looking at your record, and I did see that you had 12 KOs. So do you consider yourself to have some power?
Of course. It's just after the jab, I set him up, go down to the body, and then once I see the weakness, I finish him.
Now you're talking. I love some good body work. So now, now the thing I was going to ask is about this last fight you had. I noticed that it was someone. It seemed like it was more like a step up fight because they had not been, they had not been defeated at that point when
Right.
he fought you, Henderson, I believe.
Yeah.
So right. So how did that fight go? Can you describe for me? Did he show you any different looks that you hadn't seen with your previous opponents?
Yes, he showed me a lot of different looks because at the beginning, I was just trying to come out, throwing hard punches, then I had to settle down and then just follow my game plan. So that made me change my whole type of game plan after that fight started.
Okay, so you must have impressed Lamont here with that. Since you're a new signee now, um, tell me a little bit about your team. What gym you train out of, and are you in the Cleveland area, or are you closer to Lamont now?
We train at Toledo in Toledo, Ohio, at Soul City with Roshan Jones and Otha Jones. And
Hmm.
we have a nutritionist, uh, Teresha, and we have other coaches that help with a lot of more strength and conditioning. Coach
Okay.
Akil and Coach Tim.
Okay, well, that sounds, impressive. Now, I'm from the South, so I don't know much about the zones there in Ohio, but I do know that Cincinnati and Cleveland are known to be a little bit rougher than some of the other areas. So, do you consider yourself in Toledo? Does that seem like a more of a safer place for you to be right now?
Yes, because I'm not known here, so I can go outside around. Well, I'm not
Mhm.
a bad person, period. Like, I can go to Cleveland around outside, but it's been a lot of killing and a lot of things happening in Cleveland that
Right.
kept me out the way and staying focused in Toledo. Well, being here in Toledo just kept me focused. And
Okay. All right, that's good news. I know Lamont is glad to hear that. I mean, my other question is for Lamont. Lamont, I wanted to know, like, what is it that impressed you enough with this young man to want to sign him?
Well, I don't know if it was the boxing guys that we came across. We had really did that card with Mary McGee where we did the female fighters,
Yes.
and we he was a late add-on to the show. They at the time, his former manager, they had asked us to put him on the show, and we were like, "Yeah, absolutely, let's go. Let's stack this card with as much talent as we can, knowing that one day we look back at this card and say we had a lot of future world champions on this card."
Okay.
So didn't know much about him, but started doing our research, and we got a chance to see him live fight under the lights on that show, and he was impressive. He came in, he got the stoppage, humble young man. I liked everything about him, but he was already in a situation or two, with the manager and promoter, or soon to
Right.
be. I don't remember what it was at the time, but there was no use in really getting off into it because he was already um, in obligated to another company. So we liked what we saw, and then later on, I saw him fighting on Showbox, and me and Damon had a couple conversations. Well, roundabout way, a mutual friend brought him to our attention and said, "Hey, well, he's a free agent now," and Damon and I we just decided right then and there we were going to go all in and push everything into the table to get him because. Um, much like much like Isaiah, when we had initial conversations, we both felt like all we needed was a break, and we needed a top flight, world class prospect. And I feel like as far as promoters go, I feel like Four Champs is in a really good spot because DAZN has acknowledged us, Top Rank has acknowledged us, and PBC acknowledges us all the time. So you're in the right space when the
Mhm.
number one competitors in the world know your name. So
Okay.
it's just time to uh, work together and get each other through that loophole so we can go through the next level together.
Okay. So you saying you gonna mention Lucas in our name? Then that's what you're saying, right?
Hey, listen, as soon as we go, I'll be giving y'all them credentials. Y'all can come sit with us, and y'all can sit there and enjoy the ride with us, baby. Because y'all have been with us from the beginning. Y'all been with us for a while now, not from the beginning, but for a while. So you guys are good people, and you guys have hella content and conversations on here, and you guys get to it. So I
Right.
appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate that. But you know what I appreciate is I remember that McGee fight, and I love to support any boxing promoters that support females in boxing. So I'm all on board for whatever you need
Three
me
world
for.
title fights that night. People don't give us credit for
Yes.
it, but we did it a year before everybody thought it was cute. So
Okay. I like
they
it.
need
I
to
like
remember
it.
that.
So now, Isaiah, what does it mean to you to have someone on board like Lamont and his team? Being that you've been through previous managements and you understand a little bit more about the boxing business now. How excited are you to have someone like Lamont on your side?
I'm very excited. I appreciate having him on my side. I'm ready to get back in the ring and ready to get back on the road.
All right. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of you. And Lamont, like you said, you can just, reach out to Lucas and let us know, the next time he'll be fighting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As soon as we get that date, we're gonna make a huge announcement. We're gonna make all the noise that we can. So, and Lucas knows you guys will be one of the first ones to get it. So I think I'm pretty consistent with that. At least I hope I am. I don't like to just call when I need something. I try to call and give him anything that I got. So absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, look forward to seeing him fight soon. But I know he's kind of a new signee. Do you have anything? When can we see him yet?
My phone has been ringing off the hook. We've been going back and forth. I get calls from people, and as they, I have to let them know what's going on, and then they call me. Everybody's going to fire off the hardest thing that they got at first. So, like I told them, I've been doing this for a while. I can fight him. We can fight him at home, or we can fight him locally. Isaiah's going to have every opportunity to do what he wants to do at this point in his career. So he can literally, I think, hopefully, the Bay brothers fight went well over there in Cleveland. I know they fight in his hometown, so I wish them continued success, and I hope that fight was as successful as they would like it to be, so that they can fight over there and we can put the young man on the card in his hometown. So
Right.
we're not opposed to working with any and everybody. And if they don't have one, we're getting ready to turn our spigot on, and we're getting ready to run the show out. I think we got 3 shows planned for now to the end of the year, and there's also some possibilities of putting him on some of the bigger cards. PBC and Top Rank and some of those other ones if we need to go that route as well. So we're going to work any and every avenue to get him busy and run up that score so he's winning.
All right, and yeah, as soon as anything is signed or anything like that, any opponent name, we would love to have him back on, as well as you.
Hey, I appreciate it. His screen is jacked, but he's a good looking guy, man, young kid, and I can tell you this too. He's a hell of a resource for that neighborhood and that community. One of the things that I
Yeah.
keep hearing about him is just his commitment to the kids, things of that
Mhm.
nature. I haven't got a chance to introduce him to Layman. Layman's got a non-for-profit thing, Brewster's Place here in Indianapolis. We believe in it. I do the same thing. I'm in and out of high schools every day on the other side of the house and my full-time employment as an Army recruiter. So I think we've all got that in common. Damon's in the gym constantly working with kids, AAU basketball, things of that nature. So that was another thing to help seal the deal as far as character. He is extremely high character prospect. So I just wanted to make sure to get that in there as well.
Yeah, and we love that. And Isaiah and Lamont, you both. I mean, if you can give us that information where we can donate and where we can make it to where our fans and anybody that sees this can help donate, that would be greatly appreciated. So if you want to send that to Lamont can send it to me. I'll get something up on our site.
I'm sure those kids in Soul City and everybody, Layman as well, they'll all appreciate that. Thank you very much, Lucas.
No problem. Love giving back. I'm sorry, Zay, what was that?
I was just agreeing with everything. I was just saying thank you.
Well, I wish you good luck and fair fortune in your future. We can't wait to see you. I know me and Sakura are waiting just to hear who your who your next fight will be against, and we will either be ringside or we'll be watching somehow. That's for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to be kind of tricky for Lamont because, that next opponent, he's got to be better than the last, but not, a little too much to handle. So, these steps that he's probably very good at making for his fighters, so I'm interested to see who this opponent is going to be this next go around, Lamont.
I would like to take credit, but I'm the front man. All I do is run my mouth and plan fights. Damon handles all of that. He's good at it. So that's Damon's problem. I'm gonna leave that to Damon. He tell me to find the fights and make them, or he tells me to plan the fights and he gonna make the fights. So that's what we do. So, but Damon is outstanding at it. I don't think that you get 30-some shows out without him having a knack. And our people have went on. We've been extremely blessed to have Damon gravitate to that piece and want to do it when I don't want to.
Right. Those matchmakers, sometimes they deserve awards through each one of these fights. So if Damon's good at it, it's very little room to be like okay or kind of good. It's either like you're really bad or you're really good.
It's rough. It's hit or miss. Our last card that we did in April, we had 2 of our A-side fighters get beat. Popular kids, but they, it just wasn't their day that day. And we go back and we ask each other, hey, was that a matchmaking issue or was that, then we look at each other and say, that's boxing. We don't fix nothing. We don't hold hands. We give everybody that platform and you got to take advantage of it every night. So that's a testament to him and Isaiah and his team to get ready when you go in there 16 times and your hand is raised 16 times because you don't get no nights off once you enter those ropes. So
yeah, that makes sense. And the other thing is that boxing fans they don't want to see an easy fight. They want to see some competitive fights and some fights that last. Now, eventually, we wanted to get to that KO status, Isaiah, but we want to see some back and forth action too first.
Yeah, a lot of matchmaking. I know you got to deal with a lot of egos, and it sounds like you're not going to have that problem with Isaiah. So that's always good.
And he's hungry, so it makes it easy when they're hungry. He ain't asked for a layup. He ain't said nothing about give me a walkover, give me a tomato can. I need that. I've not heard that. And in 7 years, I get random Facebook messages asking me for an easy fight. I'm like, you don't even know me.
Give me an easy fight.
That's what they asked for. They asked for it right off the bat. Hey man, I just got beat 9 times in a row. Can you get me one? It's all kind of things, but not once has he said, I need anything easy. I mean, he just wants to be in the right spots, and that's where we're gonna put him.
That's great.
Good things nothing coming from Isaiah and 4 Champs. Thank you both for coming on. Like I said, definitely forward me any information like that, and we want to hear any upcoming fights, of course, as you always do.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for coming on.
Appreciate you.
See you next time, Lamont.
Isaiah. All right, good talking to you guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Always good to talk to upcoming prospects. And 4 Champs Promotions, they never fail to fill that gap. They always have that. So it's good to hear. And Isaiah sounds like somebody that I really want to watch. From what little I've seen, little clips I've seen, I'm impressed. Like I said, he fights well behind his jab. And it is an entertaining style that he has. It's not, something to put you to sleep. It's not Guillermo Rigondeaux.
Right. I mean, and it's impressive, when you go on Showbox and you do exactly what you're supposed to do, which is get the win, and you're not, you're fighting someone that's at that same point in their career with that next generation Showbox card, like you're in there with someone that's hungry and wanting it just as much as you do. So it means the win means a lot more, I think.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he passed that test. I think, like you said, that win does mean a lot more. But it's good to see that, and I really hope that they send that information up. It's good to see that he really wants to put on for his city, and he's all about community, so we definitely appreciate that as well. So wish nothing but the best for them. Let's talk a little bit about this weekend's fight. Beterbiev absolutely destroyed Joe Smith Jr. We all kind of said Beterbiev was gonna win Sakura, but did you see it happening like that? Like he had no chance. Say
that because I really do love Joe Smith. From early in his career,
he's a great guy.
I'm rooting for him, but yeah, I did kind of see that. We're talking
about 2 rounds. 2 rounds, though. You saw that?
I did. I saw him being right there in the right position for Beterbiev to be able to land whatever he wanted, and he has no fear. Joe Smith was still, trying to fight and, land his shot that he's known for. So, yeah, I kind of did see that. And, you know how Beterbiev is, as far as the aggression and forcing the action and, really putting pressure on you. So, yeah, I saw that coming.
Man, yeah, like I said, I definitely seen him win. I think I said something about halfway through the fight, maybe. But just let's see what Kareem said here. The construction got mopped, dropped, and stopped. Yeah, I mean it was bad. Yeah. But I think it also just put an exclamation point on really how good Beterbiev is. I mean, Joe Smith had like 3 inches on him reach-wise. That didn't matter. And Joe Smith landed a little, but it did not even phase Beterbiev. The question now becomes, who's the best? Bivol, Beterbiev. 1, can we make the fight? 2, who is the best? Because I honestly don't know. I mean, this is varying. This is opposite style-wise. So you got somebody who's very disciplined, an outside fighter, likes to throw the jab out there and keep him at range, versus Beterbiev, who's constantly trying to throw hands.
Oh my God! You just described what we're going to be watching. The boxer, the classic sweet science boxer. Versus a tow truck. Coming through. I mean, it's going to still be interesting as to whether that Bivol jab is going to be able to stand up against the pressure that, Beterbiev can bring. And I mean, I don't know how much that jab can stop someone who is as strong-willed mentally and as powerful and strong physically as a Beterbiev is. So some of that stuff he was getting away with Canelo, that is definitely not going to work when it comes to Beterbiev, especially that hanging out on the ropes. That ain't going to work.
Right. And if we take in, similar opposition, obviously they both have now faced Joe Smith Jr., but Bivol went all 12 with Joe Smith Jr. Now, I'm not going to say it was easy, or I'm not going to say it wasn't easy. Joe Smith Jr. still got wiped. I mean, it was basically a shutout, right? So, again, it's just varying styles. You have somebody who's very disciplined boxer versus a very heavy-handed puncher. So, it is really hard to call how this one would go.
Actually, we have seen him matched up with someone. Beterbiev was in a fight with Hot Rod Kalaji, who was also very much a jab guy. He's a classic boxer type individual. But what happened with him was he got hit and he kind of like didn't like it. He started brawling with Beterbiev. That's never a good situation when you're not sticking to your game. You're now engaged in his type of fight. So we kind of have seen a little bit of that already, and the outcome was in Beterbiev's favor.
Yeah, and usually, like I said, Joe Smith Jr. had an advantage, whereas if you're looking at Bivol, his reach is even smaller than Beterbiev. So Beterbiev's going to be able to get inside that jab.
Yeah,
with somewhat ease, So
I kind of think that we both made our predictions already. Oh my
God! I'm not saying I'm picking him yet, but
you were very close.
Yeah, it's not looking good. Kareem says Bivol is undisputed light heavyweight champion right now. I would lean towards you, Kareem. I mean, I think that's fair until they fight. I think that's fair. But once they fight, I'm not sure. Do you think Vegas would have the favorite as Beterbiev?
Absolutely.
They're both undefeated. I think it's about a 50-50 fight, but it's going to be cool.
I mean, let's look at the competition, the competitors that both individuals have on their record. I feel that Beterbiev has had a little bit tougher experience that he's fought as opposed to Bivol. And that's just looking at the names. We even got a Marcus Brown. He was able to dismantle him pretty easily too. These are like top tier prize fighting, people, that boxers that he's getting rid of in way quicker time than anyone else that's fought them. So, if we're just, the names seem like they would go towards the more experienced in the boxer that has, fought more established prize fighters.
Right, but you can't deny the way he handled Canelo. I mean,
yeah, but are we really going to count that Canelo? Because he's not fighting in his real weight class.
What is Canelo's weight class, though? What is Canelo's weight class? Does he even have one?
Listen, it damn sure ain't light heavyweight, okay? We know that for a fact now. And some of us knew that before the fight.
Do we? Because, I mean, every time we're like, man, I think he's actually naturally, he still blows up, right? After the rehydration.
But you got height and you got thickness, bone densities, you got calf muscles, you got other things that are factored into that weight class that Canelo did not, meet those requirements. I mean, I don't necessarily, I'm not trying to dismiss Canelo and his abilities. I don't know how much credit to give a Bivol for that win, being that there were things that bothered me from the onset of that fight being made. I was questioning certain things. So this one is out for the jury. I don't know. Like I said, I can't give him but so much credit for beating Canelo at that particular weight class. So now if he came down in weight and fought Canelo, we're talking a totally different situation. But then again, he would have to drain himself to get there. So it's still a disadvantage or an advantage for one or the other. So, let's just say that I feel that the more competitive fights, I think Beterbiev had those.
I think that's fair to say for the most part. Like I said, I kind of agree with you with the Canelo fight. We've always said like he's biting off more than he can chew, and we thought that with Kovalev, but Kovalev was not ready. So I think even that got into Canelo's own head and his own ego, and he's like, I could go up there and do this. Mm-hmm. And about midway, he was like, "Yeah, I can't do this."
He was like, I finally met my match or my overmatch.
I honestly do doubt that we find a Beterbiev Bivol rematch or the match happens, and I honestly don't think Canelo versus Bivol rematch would happen. I don't think that's going to happen.
I
I
don't
think
think it's
he
in his best interest at this point. And then it becomes a situation where Bivol will go down and fight him because that's probably the biggest money that he could make. So, it's pretty much Canelo decision whether to pursue that or not. And I just, we'll see where we're at after that Triple G trilogy in September. But I'm pretty much thinking that they're going to be like, yeah, let's kind of like, while the fans aren't really talking about it, let's move forward.
yeah, nobody really wants to see you fight him again because you're probably gonna lose.
Yeah.
That's,
Like I said, if Bivol goes down to his weight class, then it's gonna be like, well, you kind of drained the man to make the fight. So, if he does win, it's not much benefit in that terms either, in that way. So
exactly.
it just doesn't seem like there's much value in a second fight.
Nope. So in Kareem's saying Bivol, it sounds like you would say Beterbiev
Yes.
is your undisputed. All right.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I think neither one of them are undisputed as of yet. But I mean, I will say
Would be.
that with that matchup in hand, yeah, we either way, we're going to definitely have another undisputed title holder to add to our growing list of elite boxers. So let's just agree on that part.
Fair enough. Well, we do have some fights coming this weekend. There's a 4 title fight in San Antonio. Um, I don't want to say that they're all easy fights by any means, but we got Franco versus Sarung Vasai. You got to tune in for that one. I mean, Sarung Vasai's always entertaining. So, and I'm sorry, is this a PBC card? Again, it's not telling me.
Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah.
Okay.
But what network? I mean, does that mean it's a Showtime?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Usually it has right next to it where it is, like DAZN or ESPN. This one's not showing anything, so it must be Showtime.
Yeah, I'm kind of like I'm a little out of it. I must admit, I haven't been keeping up with my boxing news because we had the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame this weekend, so
Right.
I'm a little out of the loop. I do know that fight is probably going to be like a very action-packed, active type fight, especially at those weight classes.
So, I mean, other than exhausting, how was the international or the boxing Hall of Fame there? I'm sorry, there in Florida.
I mean, I was like stoked because I did get to meet David Tua. He did an interview with me. I was so privileged. Then Frezzo Kendo, he was inducted. Corey Spinks, Al Cole. Like, it was just amazing. It was just pretty much like, wow. And then fight night is our Friday night fights with TNK Boxing, and that was amazing because I was a part of history, Lucas. Can you believe that? We
It's just
had
a matter of time.
yeah, it was like probably I don't know. I have to do the research because I believe it's like probably like one of the most women involved fight cards ever. Plus, I know for sure for Florida, it was the first time that we had like a female referee, a female boxer, a female commentator, female corners, female boxing commissioners, female promoter, part female promoter, because it's a husband and wife team. So I'm pretty sure that we made some history. I just have to do the research to really get down to like how much history did we make? Is
Right.
it statewide or is it
I,
wide world?
I can't remember one. I mean, especially once you leave, the states, women involvement becomes less and less in the sport of
Yeah,
boxing. So
sure.
I would believe that may be the only one. I mean, you might want to do some research, but I would say, yeah, that's the only one to have all of those boxes checked, and
Yeah.
that is amazing.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm feeling very blessed and thankful for that. And you know, Carice, she's a local. Well, she's from the local scene here, but she also fights out of Mexico and in California and stuff. So, you know, it made it really, you know, special for her to get the win and be a part of history in that way. Um, you know, then I was able to do this is very interesting, and you'll be really interested in this. I did an interview with Chevelle Hallback, who is a 5-time world champion. She is 50 years old now, and she is now ranked as number one for not just one organization, but all four at super welterweight. And it's not, she had a fight in which, you know, there was some politicking going on, and, you know, someone paid some money to try to, you know, just get that win on her. And it was a huge upset because she was able, I don't even know if you call it an upset, because, you know, she's been winning. So she just hasn't stopped winning, you know. So, you know, there's going to be some shakeups because she's like, you know, all these people are trying to overlook her when it comes to the larger, more known super welterweights. And now she's like, wait a minute, you can't have that fight because I'm number one contender, you know. So somebody's going to have to speak to her.
So is it the age you think she's being overlooked? Is that
Yeah,
it?
you know, it's probably
Hopkins is like, you're over the hill, and we think we can beat you now, and then no, you can't. Not yet.
At this point, like 5 years ago when I first met her, the issue was local and even bigger promoters. They didn't want to cover her fights. This is when she was a title holder for 3 titles, and had the 5 division championship, you know, win. So then it became not so much an issue with that. Once we had the local promoter here, T&K Boxing. Well, they're not really local because they do fights cards outside of the States and over in Colombia, but they're based out of this area. So once they gave her the first fight, then she got like 3 more fights. So once, you know, of course he was deterred. They told him, you know, you're not going to make any money and you can't put her on as the main event. And then all those things did happen. He made money and it was like a huge turnout for her. So, you know, after that, she started having problems with that. But then these bigger names didn't want to face her because of the age discrimination thing, where they're thinking like, oh, well, if I do get in a fight with her and I win, people are still not going to give me that much credit for it. And it's a huge risk. Because she's that good, you know. So,
and if she beats you, then you know you lost to a 50-year-old. This is like a lose-lose situation, you know. You can't win in that aspect. But I mean, somebody's gonna have to give her a chance. I mean, that's a selling point right there for me. You're saying
like
title fight, 50-year-old female. I mean,
I know, and she's just amazing to me because get this, she also just started like a year ago. She started doing the weight, you know, the weight competitions where you weightlifting. I mean, like, so you're gonna have to deal with that in the ring too. I'm like,
sound like Superwoman.
Right? Yes, for sure.
So T&K
really wrong.
So T&K is female led?
Well, it's a husband and wife team. So it's both male and female that own the company. And they're very hands-on, you know, both of them. So yeah, she's just as deserving as the husband in that respect. So it's just cool. It's a cool environment.
Ranked number 1, I'm hoping I see like a title fight soon now. I mean, that's got headline written all over it. 50-year-old female wins world title. I can see that.
Yes. And think about it. She actually did probably beat Cecilia Brækhus, but the fight was in Germany. So she did not have the advantage. She fought Holly Holmes twice. She's fought Melissa Duvall, like just major names that, you know, are Otherwise, these people are retired now. She's the only one that's still like very active.
Still kicking ass and taking names. Oh man.
Yeah. So anyway, the whole weekend was pretty cool. We had a great time, and it's a dinner gala, so you dress up on Saturday nights. Oh, I had an interesting experience too because I was able to introduce a roundtable discussion that included David Tour, a trainer out of Miami named Gus Curran, and Claudia Trejos, the media darling.
Oh, cool.
That's she's with bare knuckle boxing now, and she does things commentating with other companies, including DAZN when asked. So she was one of the inductees too. So she was the only female that was in this year's class. But the roundtable discussion you would have loved, Lucas, because and we got to talk about this. Got to be one of our topics one day. You know
Okay.
that. It's 15 rounds then versus 12 rounds now. Training then versus training now. Athletes, are they better now? But are they better boxers than the past boxers? Like, it just delved into a lot of different things.
I think we need a full team to dive into that one.
Yes.
But yeah, that I can see that being really good discussion.
Oh yeah. I'm interested, but so we got to do it now because I'm interested to see your opinion on it.
For sure. And anybody listening, yeah, we normally do this on Tuesdays. Again, it's Tough Talk Tuesday. It airs 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We just kind of had to move some things around this week and possibly next week. But after that, back to every Tuesday. Again, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. It feels a little dead on here, and I know it because we don't have Rob, we don't have
And I'm going on and on and on about Florida Boxing Hall of Fame. So
we don't have Stephen A. But yeah,
we can get back to the one topic that people are kind of talking about, and that is this Spence versus Bud fight. And we're coming up with different dates that we're hearing in October. Lucas, I don't know about you, like, dude, I've made reservations for like several weeks now, and it still hasn't been confirmed that these are anywhere near the close dates that they should be. I mean, what are you hearing?
It keeps shifting, and I think we're still as far away as we've ever been on making this fight happen. We've gotten past one hurdle apparently, which was Top Rank and Bob Arum, but I think there's still way so much in the way because I think Bob was just a small portion of it. I think he was trying to help make the fight, but I think a lot of it is they don't want to agree on money more than anything. But I'm sure location, other things are going to be playing a part into it. Errol Spence is undisputed. I think there's still a dispute to that. I think
Not yet.
I think you're a little wrong there today, Kareem. I'm not going to agree with that part.
I mean, but what do you think? I mean, does Spence have an argument that he should be getting paid what we all know this term, and I hate this term, A-side money over Bud?
I agree completely that he should be. I'm laughing at Kareem because he's just laughing. But no, I think Errol Spence by far. I've been saying that Bud Crawford should just take the 20 or the 30, whatever they're offering him, win, and then try for the rematch. And in no way am I saying that Errol Spence is going to walk all over Bud because I don't think that at all.
Okay.
But currently, as far as value goes, I think Errol Spence has been able to show that he can sell more. He's been able to consistently be on pay-per-view for longer, and Bob's made it evident. Like, Bud's hard to sell.
I know, but it's more like, yes, Spence is the A side, but what percentages are we talking about? Because I'm still a firm believer that with these mega fights, no matter how big of an A side you are, the B side got leverage. Because there is no mega fight if they don't decide that they're going to take this type of money. So I mean that automatically puts it more even of a fight percentage wise in my eyes. And that would be the same. My opinion would be the same if Spence was considered the B side. I just feel like with these super fights, you can't just say A side, B side because you don't get a fight at all that's mega status like this if that B side doesn't want to take that type of money.
No, I mean, and you're right, but the problem is who needs this fight? Bud needs this fight. Errol can go other places. He's got other fights to make. He's got other people that would be willing to take that 20 or 30%. Bud does not. Bud doesn't make anywhere close to that kind of money without an Errol Spence. I don't want to see him fight anybody other. No more of these contenders. No, we're done with that. Okay. I need to see what Bud's actually made out of. Okay, because I personally still have some question marks. Okay, because there's some things that Bud, and I love him. I love his style. I love how he can switch, but he has been known to be caught early. He's been dropped. I want to see what he's up against with another elite fighter like himself. And the only way he's going to get that right now is Errol Spence. And by taking that smaller step, I don't know if he's going to be willing to do it, though. I think he's holding on, and I think he has been holding on. I think that he's the one holding off on it. Kareem's saying Crawford versus Enos. Even that, I don't want to see that yet. I want Enos to grow a little bit first. I think Crawford right now, experience-wise, is a little bit past Enos. Enos is still growing. So, and Crawford, again, needs that A-level fighter. He needs that pay-per-view come out. If he takes that 20 or 30% and shows out, then he can become that pay-per-view fighter that Bob Arum wanted him to be. And he can start to just be able to sell himself. He won't even need anybody else. He'll be able to do, the Miguel Cotto route or the, Floyd Mayweather route where he can just promote himself. And he can make all that kind of money. But Kareem, I believe Enos destroys Crawford.
Wow.
I'm going to say the style, it does. I still want to see that fight. But first, I would say let Enos grow a little bit first.
It's to me it's hard to gauge, Lucas. Don't you think it's hard to gauge right now because Enos hasn't really been given that real opponent that helps us really see levels.
Yeah.
If you understand what I'm saying, like. Now, we're only going by what we're seeing based off the opponents that he's been given. Very similar to how it is with Bud, as far as the opponents and what we've been able to see. But, don't you think it's like, Kareem, we haven't been able to see what happens to Ennis once he's facing some different levels here.
Right. And sometimes it's easier to tell at the level, obviously, if they're facing tougher competition. But some people are crowned way before those fights ever happen. Take Take Golovkin for an example. Like, everybody was crowning him when he was still knocking out people. Like, that knockout doesn't prove anything. You're just knocking out somebody who's, a gatekeeper. That's not doing anything for me. So I'm still one of them people that you got to show me first. I can't judge that. Because
the other thing about that too, Lucas, is like when you think about it, it's like it really hurts that boxer more than it helps them when they get that early crowning, because then you have more people avoiding them how they were when Triple G came out. It was like pulling teeth to get someone in the ring that would offer him any different looks.
Mm-hmm. And just like we were talking about last week with Berlanga, right? I mean, he had this big hype train around him, and I'm just like, oh, wait. And yeah, that's what happened. But I mean, I don't think he's going to pan out to anything of what he thought he was. Now, in no way am I saying Boots is going to be like that. I think Boots can definitely build and still become who we
Right.
all think he is.
Mhm.
But again, that's also good matchmaking. Just like we said earlier with Lamont. I mean, they have to be brought up correctly. If he's just thrown into the deep end against Crawford now, you can either, one, get him severely hurt, two, destroy his confidence. And
Yeah.
then what's he worth? Because he's going to go in there like, well, what's it matter? I already lost one. Now I'm going to lose this one. I'm getting beat up. And, you kind of start to quit on yourself after a while.
Yeah.
Keeping that O is more than just, your value as far as, your boxing. It's also a big part of your ego. And keeping that strives all kinds of athletes, not just fighters. I mean, you talk to a team that's undefeated or something like that, they're more eager to keep that O. Once that O is gone, then they start to rack up some losses.
Right.
And you will see that in any athletic career.
Okay. Well, I mean, I kind of believe that Boots is what he appears to be. But like you're saying, I need to see it. Like, I want to actually confirm it.
Right. Kareem, take Adrian Bronner, for example, until he ran into Maidana.
Dang.
I mean,
boom. Perfect.
I think a lot of people, myself included, I had Bronner on pound for pound lists. I mean, because not only was he beating some good names, I mean, he was destroying people, making it look pretty easily. And the sad thing is, Adrian Bronner's still a very talented fighter. And most people watching his fight can tell you what's going wrong. Is he's too timid now, and his punch volume is nowhere where it needs to be. I think if he brings his punch volume up, he can pretty much win it against any fighter. I mean, you've seen he was competitive, but he dropped Sean Porter, right? I mean, it's like he gets himself into the corner, and then he feels like he needs to do better, and he starts rushing, and he got that knockdown. If he fought that way, and he fought with an urgency throughout the entire fight, I think Bronner would be a different fighter.
Yeah, and
But
I think
instead,
that Ghana fight did do that to him, to be honest. If we're looking back, I don't think he liked that knockdown feeling. And so now it seems as though he's making sure that that scenario doesn't ever happen again, which explains him being more gunshot than he was prior Madonna.
right. And I don't even think it was necessarily the loss. I think it was the embarrassment of how he lost. Like,
Yeah, the drop.
the memes that were made, man, those were some horrific memes. Not to mention, like, the picture that was taken, like him practically getting carried out by the security guards. I was like, this is not a good look. And he walks in with all this entourage, and then he basically gets carried out by security. So yeah, I mean, it was not good for him. But
you remember when he used to have his dad brushing his hair and all that? Like that kind of stuff comes back to bite you when social media is after you.
Yeah, and I don't even think I remember seeing his dad in his previous fights. Maybe he got a chance to fight Floyd. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get a chance. He said, what if Adrian Bowder would have stayed undefeated? I think that was a matchmaking thing. I don't think they should have put him up against Maidana. I think that was a bit more than he could chew at that current point in time. Like, if I remember right, just off top, Bronner faced Malignaggi.
Right.
Malignaggi, but not extremely well. Then he went on and just took Maidana right away after that. You can't go from a Malignaggi to a Maidana. Maidana takes your soul. It took Victor Ortiz's soul too. Maidana is used to doing stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cream says maybe get a chance to fight Floyd. I don't think so. I don't think Floyd's into anybody who's even slightly competitive right now. He's more of a celebrity fighter. I don't ever see Floyd actually getting anything competitive, right?
Yeah, I just feel like, it's specifically, him and Bronner have this tumultuous relationship and on again, off again. It's frenemy situation. And I don't think that Floyd is interested in making that kind of money for Bronner, to be honest.
No. And even now, I would say Floyd plays with Bronner for the most part. And that's saying a lot because Floyd's up there.
Yeah, that's true. He said
No,
if he was undefeated.
no. In fact, I'm gonna go in a different direction. I think Bronner, during his whole bringing up and everything, he idolized Mayweather a little bit too much, because I think he could have benefited from a different style, but he was trying to be Floyd. Like a lot of people try to be Floyd, I think he tried a little bit too hard, because I don't think the style that he came up with benefited him. Seems like Kareem agrees. But yeah, I mean, back off topic. You don't think? I mean, we came a long way off of Spence Crawford, but you don't think he should take like 30% and just be done with it, just fight? I'm talking Spence Crawford.
Oh, do I feel that, or are you asking Kareem?
You, no, you. Well, Kareem too, if he wants to answer.
I mean, no, I don't. I feel like, well, what happens if he doesn't win that fight against Spence and he doesn't get a rematch? And that's as much money as he's going to make at that division, So he needs to get what he can get now in this fight, not just count on a rematch that could or could not happen. Yeah. I mean, there's many scenarios. Look at Spence when he wanted to fight Pacquiao. You see how, he was going to still try to get Pacquiao after the Ugas win, but, Pacquiao went ahead and retired. That opportunity is completely gone. Spence could decide to move up in weight at that point. Most people feel like he walks around at like a super middleweight size in between, his fighting. So, he may decide that, he did everything he wanted to do at welterweight. So there's many scenarios that, boxers have to decide. And I think that, Bud, he's in a great position as far as money is concerned. He was a well-paid boxer before this, but, he's fighting for legacy, and he's fighting for what could be one of his final fights at welterweight, to be honest. I mean, if you become undisputed at welterweight, unless you're forced to do a rematch, you're going to go ahead and move up in weight. Most people are, if they can fit in that next division. So, they're already working on setting up that by talking about Charlos and this Charlo, and I'll come down to fight. All this back and forth going on with the Charlo twins right now is not by accident.
Well, I don't think Crawford should be going up yet. I mean, he definitely needs to calm down and let's see him actually beat some welterweights, because I think he has not explored a very vast pool, which is the welterweight division.
I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, previously Keith Thurman was interested in a Bud fight. Now he doesn't have that barrier of a Bob Arum. So, we'll see what falls out, what cooks up after this Spence fight. But they gotta agree on some terms, and Spence, his team can't be just like, oh, we want it all, You got 3 belts, so you got leverage. But like I said, the fight that his fans want to see too is this Bud fight. So he can't disappoint his fans either.
No, but yeah, he has a lot more places to go. Kareem's saying that they should let it build. I'm like, well, no, come on,
Yeah,
Kareem.
how much building do we need? This has been going on for years.
Not to mention, I mean, and then he's referencing right here, Maypac made a piece, and I'm sure they did, but this fight's not going to come anywhere close to that. You could cook this for another 10 years. It's not going to matter. It's not getting worth any more money than what it is now. I honestly don't think it's going to get any bit bigger. They just don't have the fan bases for that. They don't.
This the best time. It's now, and it's been cooking a long time, Kareem. You know this. Like, they don't need to bake this muffin anymore.
It's gonna be burnt if they. It's gonna be burnt, because, I mean, I don't know about you, Sakura, but we've talked about this a lot. This fight happening, and is no closer than when we first started talking about it. It really isn't.
Absolutely. This has to be the closest because we're at least talking about a fight by the end of this year, you know. And I don't want to ruin that, like, you know, with some negotiations by, you know, the powers that be, when it's probably really not even the fighters that's, you know, really arguing that much over the ins and outs of the contract. So I just feel like, you know, we need to be patient, but we just need to make it known, all the fans, we need to make it known this is the only fight we want to see Spence in, and it's the only fight we want to see Bud in.
Yes, and I always encourage the fans to do that, especially so. Let's say Spence gets another fight, Crawford gets another fight. Do not buy those fights. Do not watch those fights. Do not support those fights. That is the only way you guys can force it. But unfortunately, the boxing fans just want to see boxing, so they'll even turn into fights. Let's say like Danny Garcia versus Rod Salka. You turn into that crap. And then somehow Danny Garcia still makes over $1 million off fighting somebody that's not even ranked in the division. Like,
yeah, he got them nice fans now. Danny got some supportive fans, for sure. The Puerto Rican, you know, lineage and all that, it helps for him. It works. But now we're talking about Danny versus who is this? I forgot the name of the opponent at 154 he'll be fighting.
Benavidez? Jose
Yes,
Benavidez?
Jose Benavidez. Now, you know, like, come on. So, I mean, it's still a situation where you might can change names now, Lucas, instead of saying, you know, Selecki every time. You might could say Jose.
Kareem, you saw that fight too, huh? You turned into Salka too, huh?
Yeah, and you make $1 million. Danny's gonna make $1 million off this one too, probably.
And what is Danny thinking too? I mean, Sakura, give it to me honest. You think this dude can make it at 154?
Yeah, he can make it at 154, but how good he can look.
Champion. At
The
154.
point is, I'm saying yes because he just made it at welterweight. Like, he literally fought everybody and made the most money in his career at welterweight and didn't, you know, get the wins. Even in the close decisions, you know, he didn't get the wins. So yes, in that respect, he could do the same thing at 154. I still feel that 140 was where he was best at. I feel that, you know, I don't see his power transferred over to welterweight, to be honest.
No, me
You know,
either.
I didn't see that. So I don't think that it will be any better at 154. So we'll see if Danny has picked up some new tricks, you know, in the last year or two, because it's really difficult to see how he's going to be able to maneuver all of these top elite 154 pounders that are used to fighting each other. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm doubting. That's what I'm doubting, Square. I don't know if he can make a decent run at 154. I mean, let's face it, at 147, he was like the bottom side of the A tier, right? No offense to Danny Garcia, he's a great fighter. I love watching him, but that no look left hook shit is not going to work up at 154.
right. Yeah, they're right there for it. And they already know, you know, these guys up there, they study each other. They know each other's, you know, little slight movements and fights. I mean, they are really hard to deal with. And I don't know if Danny is up for that challenge. But we'll see. I mean, I guess I mean, really, like, who was he going to fight? Who's left for him to fight at 147 even?
I mean, if I'm him, though, I would at least try to, avenge some of those. The Thurman fight was close. Maybe try to get a rematch with Thurman. But there's still money to be made in welterweight. If you're going up in weight and you're really not doing all that great at the weight you're at, and your body really doesn't say I can go up to me. I mean, he's not the biggest guy in the world. He's not very tall. I don't think he's going to put on that extra weight well. It's going to slow him down, make him an easier target. I see him really getting pummeled around at 154. I think it's a horrible move. I'm not saying it to be mean. I mean, that's just how my brain is interpreting it.
I'm like his dad. I don't want to lose, Danny. I don't want to lose.
And that's what I feel like he's doing. Like he's going to go up, right? And then he's going to build towards a championship again. So in other words, he's starting at the bottom of 154 and he's going to slowly work his way towards possibly a championship, but I don't think he's going to reach that. And then he'll retire before he gets to that point. So basically he's just going to get a whole bunch of gimmies. It's hard, it sounds bad to say, but that's what he could be doing. Now at 147, he could be making a bigger legacy. He could be fighting the bigger names. He actually has a chance at winning some of those. And he could even fight some of the upcoming guys like Boots Ennis, you know. I know you don't want to be a measuring stick, you know, Dan.
Right.
But
you don't want to be that now journeyman or the gatekeeper type scenario either.
right.
But,
What's better is
yeah.
what you're gonna fight you know, a Boots Ennis and lose. Okay. That's still better than fighting like some Jose Benavidez at 154 and losing. Or any other 154
like
low name level. I mean, at least you're losing to somebody that's got, you know, future.
Yeah, but it's more dangerous physically for you. Like you're talking about him fighting like the new boogeyman of welterweight who's young and hungry. Like, you know, you're talking about some damage he would have to sustain. And I don't really think that he wants to sustain any more damage than he did with Errol Spence. Like that's and in his mind, he's probably thinking, well, I handled that. And he's really a 154 pounder. So I feel like I could do 154 pounds. That's probably what he thought in his head. Like, you know, he still didn't get me out of there. And, you know, so he's probably thinking like it would be easier if I didn't have to make 147. I wouldn't be drained, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, the issue for me, Lucas,
What's that?
Just one point. The issue for me is that, you know, he's very dedicated and loyal to his father as his trainer. But you gotta add something to that to get you some new moves and some new strategies. You know, add somebody to the team. I'm not saying sit down your father by any means. I'm just saying, like, you know, add a different trainer to your team to help you learn, you know, a little something different to really try to change the way that you box and, you know, be more proactive in adapting. I don't see how you can adapt to even a new division if you're not getting a different look than what you've been getting your entire life.
Right. I strongly agree with you there. I think there's a lot of fighters that just hold on to loyalty. No, and don't get me wrong, I respect the hell out of that. But at some point, too, certain coaches can only take you so far, right? If you feel like you maxed out and they're not giving you any more info, you know, if you've learned everything you can from them, it's time to keep them on as maybe a second or just let them go. I mean, hopefully they would understand that it's for your benefit, you know, and picking up a different.
Yeah, I mean, I think his dad would understand, and I really think that he wants the best for Danny. He doesn't want to see him lose, and so I think he would be okay with him adding an additional person to help teach him things, not train, but teach him things.
Kareem is on to something because I was actually thinking Freddie Roach right before he put this up there. So Freddie or Floyd Sr. Floyd Sr. I still think is a little too defensive minded. I think you want to go Freddie Roach with the way Danny Garcia is already set up because you can't reinvent the wheel with Danny Garcia. He's too old. He's already set mostly in his ways. Right. So what Freddie Roach can teach is a lot of good slipping, better head movement. And just better offense because what are you going to do with Danny? I mean, he's not going to be a defensive fighter. He's not going to be learning anything new. If anything, you get him an offensive coach like Freddie Roach, and I think he could flourish. But you're right. I don't think he's going to leave his dad. I don't think he'll be willing to take up another coach like Freddie Roach.
Well, I mean, I think Freddie did an amazing job, for example, with Cotto. He took him back to, you know, the beginning Cotto and made him remember some of those fundamentals that you forget after, you know, 2 or 3 trainers. I think that would be a great fit for him to add on, even in a capacity of, a consultant like, or, doing a training camp there with Angel. You know what I'm saying? Like,
For sure.
just do anything that's different than what you've been doing.
And I mean, I strongly think like Amir Khan underneath Freddie Roach was the best that Amir Khan we've ever seen. I mean, under Virgil Hunter, I like Virgil Hunter. I just don't think that that's a good match whatsoever for Amir Khan. And Freddie Roach said it honestly, like he is what he is. You just have to help him try to avoid his own mistakes. And he overextended combinations. He stood in the pocket too long. I mean, I think everybody knows kind of Amir Khan's downfall, but other than those things, he's a brilliant boxer if you could just get at him in his own ways. Freddie Roach couldn't even.
I mean, and that's what Virgil Hunter was trying to do. He was trying to work with the mental side of Amir Khan, because that's where the issues were at. But it just came down to him being, pretty much stuck in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And instead, it's almost like Virgil Hunter accidentally neutered him because he took away a lot of his offense, took about a lot of his slip.
I mean, woo, you vicious tonight with these words.
I mean, no, I saw it. I mean, he's he got his mitts up instead of looking to slip and counter more. So I think he was much scarier under Roach. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, he looked good against Canelo till he, that size matters scenario where, he got hit with that major punch. And there was just no way to recover from that, especially when you're not even fighting in your weight class.
Yeah. And Canelo rarely does.
I mean, but staying on Amir Khan, okay. I'm just saying he looked good boxing wise in that fight to me up until he got caught.
Definitely. Yeah, but same thing happened. Yeah, he overextended and got caught, got laid out. But I think Danny Garcia and Freddie Roach is secretly an amazing match. And I would love to see that happen. Would they though?
No.
Robert Garcia could even be a good fit.
Okay.
But
yeah, he's pretty good at bringing, having a second win to a boxer's career. I mean, look at Maidana. Once he got with Garcia, it was a new Maidana too, So yeah, he has some luck at that.
He's been able to revitalize, some careers. Nanito,
Right. Yeah. So. I like that one.
All right. I think we've kind of dug the bottom of the barrel with today's show, but it was still a really good show. I thought it was going to be a little bit hard for us to, because usually we have a third at least, but I think we had some good back and forth.
Yeah, we always have a good chemistry as far as boxing and talking back and forth anyway. So
that's for sure.
We do our thing.
That's right. Maybe do another podcast on the side we're talking about, right?
I like that idea. Maybe we'll be thinking about some, different ideas, like some thinking type out of the box subjects.
Right. Less boxing.
Yes, pretty much.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in. I want to give a special shout out to Isaiah Steen and Lamont Sullivan for coming on. And definitely go ahead and send us that information. Check out all of our social media at Heavy Bag Boxing. It looks out for those charities that you can give to. But as always, I'm Lucas Biggers. This is Sakura A. Good fight. Good night. We'll see you again next week.